Hello aspirants, now we're going to start passage 2013 UPSC question CSAT. So first passage is, the subject of democracy has become severely modeled because of the way of rhetoric surroundings it has been used in recent years. There is increasingly an oddly confused dichotomy between those who want to impose democracy on countries in the non-Western world in these countries' own interest, of course, and those who are opposed to such impositions because of the respect for the country's own ways. But the entire language of impositions used by both sides is extraordinarily inappropriate, since it makes the implicit assumptions that democracy belongs exclusively to the West, taking it to be a quintessentially Western idea which has originated and flourished only in the West. But the thesis and the pessimisms it generates about the possibility of democratic practice in the world would be extremely hard to justify. There were several experiments in local democracy in ancient India. Indeed, in understanding the roots of democracy in the world, we have to take an interest in the history of people participations and public's reasoning in different parts of the world. We have to look beyond thinking of democracy only in terms of European and American evolutions. We would fail to understand the pervasive democracy for participatory living on which Aristotle spoke with for reaching insights. If we take democracy to be a kind of specialized cultural products of the West, it cannot be of course be doubted that the institutional structures of the contemporary practice of democracy is largely the products of European and American experience over the last few centuries. This is extremely important to recognize, since these developments in institutional formats were immensely innovative and ultimately effective. There can be little about that there is a major Western achievements here. Which of the following is closest to the view of democracy as mentioned in the above passage? View of democracy. The subject of democracy is middle due to a desire to portray it is a Western concept allied to non-Western countries. The language of impositions of democracy is inappropriate. There is, however, a need to consider this concept in the backdrop of cultures of own way of non-Western society. While democracy is not essentially a Western idea belonging exclusively to the West, the institutional structures of current democratic practices has been their contribution. So answer is C. Question number 2. With reference to the passage, the following assumptions has been made. Many of the non-Western countries are unable to have democracy because they take democracy to be a specialized cultural products of the West. Western countries are always trying to impose democracy on non-Western countries. Which of the above is our assumptions or assumption? Answer is D. Neither one nor two. Passage 2. Corporate governance is based on principles such as conducting the business with all integrity and fairness, being transparent with regard to all transactions, making all the necessary disclosures and decisions, complying with all the laws of the land, accountability and responsibility towards the stakeholders, and commitments to conducting business in an ethical manner. Another point which is highlighted on corporates governance is the need for those is control to be able to distinguish between what are personal and corporate funds while managing a company. Fundamentally, there is a level of confidence that is associated with a company that is known to have good corporate governance. The presence of an active group of independent directors of the board contributes a great deal towards ensuring confidence in the markets. Corporate governance is known to be one of the criteria that foreign institutional investors are increasingly depending on when deciding on which company is investing. It is also known to have a positive influence on the share price of the company. Having a clean image on the corporate governance firm could also make it easier for companies to source capitals at more reasonable cost. Unfortunately, corporate governance after becomes the centers of discussions only after the exposures of large scam. According to the passage, which of the following should be the practices is good corporate governance? Companies should always comply with the labor and tax laws of the land. Every company in the country should have a government representatives as one of the independent directors on the board to ensure transparency. The manager of a company should never invest his personal funds in the company. Select the correct answer using the codes given below. So answer is A. So answer is A, one only. Company should always comply with labor and tax laws of the land. We go question number 4. According to the passage, which of the following are the major benefits of good corporate governance? Good corporate governance lead to increase in share price of the company. A company with good corporate governance always increase its business turnover rapidly. Good corporate governance is the main criteria for foreign institutional investors when they are decided to buy a company. Select the correct answer using the codes given below. So answer is A, one only. Good corporate governance leads to increase in share price in the company. Next passage. Malnutrition most commonly occurs between the ages of 6 months and 2 years. This happens despite the child's food requirements being less than that of an older child. Malnutrition is often attributed to poverty, but it has been found that even in households where adults eat adequate quantities of foods, more than 50% cost of children under 5 do not consume enough foods. The child depends on someone else. Feed him her primarily responsible for the malnutrition. Very often the mother is working and the responsibility of feeding the young child is left to an older siblings. It is therefore crucial to increase awareness regarding the child food needs and how to satisfy them. So, question number 5. According to the passage, malnutrition in child can be reduced if the children have regular intake. If the children have regular intake of food after they cross the age of 5, if the food needs of younger children are known, if the responsibility of feeding younger children is given to adults? So answer is C. If the food needs of younger children are known. Question number 6. According to the author, poverty is not the main cause of malnutrition, but the fact that taking care of younger ones is not a priority for working mothers. Awareness of nutritional need is not propagated by the public health authorities. Select the correct answer using the codes given below. This answer is B, 2 only. Awareness of nutritional need is not propagated by the public health authorities. Passage 4. A number of empirical studies find that farmers are risk averse, though only moderately in many cases. There is also evidence to show that farmer risk aversions result in cropping patterns and input use designed to reduce risk rather than to maximize income. Farmers adopt a number of strategies to manage and cope with agricultural risk. These include practices like crop and field diversification, non-farm employments, storage of stocks, and strategic migrations of family members. There are also institutions ranging from share tenancy to kinships, extended family, and informal credit agencies. One major obstacle to risk sharing by farmers is that the same type of risk can affect a large number of farmers in the regions. Empirical studies show that the traditional methods are not adequate. Hence, there is a need for policy intervention, especially measures that cut across geographical regions. Policies may aim at tackling agricultural risks directly or indirectly. Examples of risk-specific policies are crop insurance, price stabilizations, and the development of varieties resistant to pests and diseases. Policies which affect risk indirectly are integrations, subsidized credits, and access to information. No single risk-specific policy is sufficient to reduce risk and is without side effects, whereas policies not specific to risk influence the general situations and affect risk only indirectly. Crop insurance as a policy measures to tackle agricultural risk directly deserves careful considerations in the Indian context and in many other developing countries, because the majority of farmers depend on rain-fed agriculture, and in many areas yields variability is the predominant cause of their income instability. So question number 7. The need for policy interventions to mitigate risk in agriculture is because farmers are extremely risk averse. Farmers do not know how to mitigate risk. The methods adopted by farmers and existing risk sharing institutions are not adequate. Majority of farmers depends on rain-fed agriculture. So answer is C. The methods adopted by farmers and existing risk-sharing institutions are not adequate. Question number 8. What of the following observations emerges from the above passage? One can identify a single policy that can reduce risk without any side effects. No single risk-specific policy is sufficient to reduce agricultural risks. Policies which affect risk indirectly can eliminate it. Government's policy interventions can mitigate agricultural risk completely. So answer is B. No single risk-specific policy is sufficient to reduce agricultural risk. Question number 9. Consider the following statements. A primary group is relatively smaller in size. Intimacy is an essential characteristic of a primary group. A family may be an example of a primary group. In the light of the above statements, which one of the following is true? So answer is D. Members of a primary groups know each other intimately. So we find the next passage. Next passage come here. Financial markets in India have acquired greater depth and liquidity over the years. Steady reforms since 1991 have led to growing linkages and integrations of the Indian economy and its financial systems with the global economy. With global economic prospects and continuing uncertainties in the international financial market therefore have had their impacts on the emerging markets economies. Sovereign risk concerns, particularly in the euro area, affected financial markets for the greater part of the year, with the contagions of Greece sovereign debt problems spreading to Indians and other economies by way of higher than normal levels of volatility. The funding constraints in international financial markets could impact both the availability and cost of foreign fundings for banks and corporates. Since the Indian financial system is bank dominated, banks' ability to withstand stress is critical to overall financial stability. Indian banks, however, remains robust, notwithstanding a decline in capital to risk-weighted assets ratio and a rise in non-performing asset level in the recent past. Capital adequacy levels remains above the regulatory requirements. The financial market infrastructure continues to function without any major disruptions. With further globalizations, consolidations, deregulations and diversifications of the financial systems, the banking business may become more complex and risky. Issues like risk and liquidity management and enhancing skills therefore assumes greater significance. So first question is, according to the passage, the financial markets in the emerging markets economies including India had the adverse impacts in recent years due to weak global economic prospects, uncertainties in the international financial market, sovereign risk concerns in the euro area, had bad monsoons and the resultant crop loss. Select the correct answer using the code given below. So answer is very easy. Answer is B. 1, 2 and 3. Weak global economic prospects, uncertainty in the international financial market, sovereign risk concerns in the euro area. Question number 25. The Indian financial markets are affected by global changes mainly due to the increased inflow of remittances from abroad, enormous increase in the foreign exchange reserves, growing global linkages and integrations of the Indian financial market, contagions of Greece sovereign debts problems. So answer is C. Growing global linkages and integrations of the Indian financial markets. Next questions. According to the passage in the Indian financial systems, banks' ability to withstand stress is critical to ensures overall financial stability because Indian financial system is controlled by the Government of India, less integrated with banks, controlled by the Reserve Bank of India, dominated by banks. So answer is very easy. Answer is D, dominated by banks. Question number 27. Risk and liquidity management assumes more importance in the Indian banking systems in future due to further globalizations, more consolidations and deregulations of the financial systems, further diversifications of the financial systems, more financial inclusions in the economy. Let the correct answer is in the code given below. So answer is A, 1, 2 and 3. Further globalizations, more consolidations and degradations of the financial systems, further diversification of the financial systems. So next passage. Crude minerals oils come out of the earth as a thick brown or black liquids with a strong smells. It is a complex mixture of many different substances, each with its own individual qualities. Most of them are combinations of hydrogens and carbon in varying proportions. Such hydrocarbons are also found in other forms such as bitumen, asphalts and natural gas. Mineral oil originates from the carcasses of tiny animals and from plants that live in the sea. Over millions of years, these just creatures from large deposits under the sea beds and ocean currents cover them with a blanket of sand and silt. As these minerals hardens, it becomes sedimentary rocks and effectively shuts out the oxygens, so preventing and completes decompositions of the marine deposits. Underneath, the layer of sedimentary rock become thicker and heavier. Their pressure produces heats which transform the tiny carcasses into crude oil in a process that is still going in today. So question number 32. Mineral oil deposits under the sea do not get completely decomposed because they are constantly washed by the ocean's currents, become rocks and prevent oxygen from entering them. Contains a mixture of hydrogens and carbon are carcasses of organisms living in saline conditions. So question number 32, answer is B, become rock and prevent oxygen from entering them. Next questions. Sedimentary rock leads to the formations of oil deposit because there are no saline conditions below it. It allows some dissolved oxygen to enter the dead organic matters below it. Weights of overlying sediments layers causes the productions of heats. It contains the substances that catalyze the chemicals reactions required to change dead organisms into oils. So answer is C. Weights of overlying sediments layers causes the productions of heat. Next passage. The law in many parts of the world increasingly restricts the discharge of agricultural slurry into water courses. The simplest and often the most economically sound practices returns the materials to the land as semi-solids manner or as spade slurry. This dilates is concentrations in the environments to what might have occurred in a more primitive and sustainable types of agriculture and converts pollutants into fertilizers. Soil microorganisms decomposes the organic components of COH and slurry, and most of the minerals nutrients become available to be absorbed again by the vegetations. The excess inputs of nutrients, both nitrogen and phosphorus, based from agricultural runoff and human sewage, has caused many healthy oligotropics takes legs, low nutrients concentrations, low plant productivity with abundant water weeds and clear water to change to eutrophics conditions when high nutrients inputs lead to high phytoplankton's productivity, sometimes dominated by bloom forming toxic species. This makes the water turbines eliminates large plants and in the worst situations leads to anoxia and fish kills. So-called cultural anthropomorphications, eutrophications, these important ecosystem services are lost, including the provisioning service of wild caught fish, wild caught fish, and the cultural services associated with recreations. The process of cultural eutrophications of lakes has been understood for some time, but only recently did scientists notice huge dead zones in the oceans near river outlets, particularly those draining large catchment areas such as the Mississippi in North America and the Yangtze in China. The nutrient-enriched water flows through streams, rivers, and lakes, and eventually to the estuary and ocean, where the ecological impacts may be huge, killing virtually all invertebrates and fish in areas up to 70,000 km squares in extent. More than 150 sea areas worldwide are now regularly starved of oxygen as a result of decompositions of algal blooms. Fuels, particularly by nitrogen from agricultural runoff of fertilizers and sewage from large cities. Oceanic dead zones are typically associated with industrialized nations and usually lie of countries that subsidize their agriculture, encouraging farmers to increase productivity and also use more fertilizer. So, first questions, according to the passage, why should the discharge of agricultural slurry into water courses be restricted? Losing nutrients in this way is not a good practice economically. Water courses do not contain the microorganisms that can decompose organic components of agricultural slurry. The discharge may lead to the eutrophications of water bodies. The correct answer is in the code given below. So answer is C, 1 and 3. 1 and 3. Losing nutrients in this way is not a good practice economically. The discharge may lead to the eutrophications of water bodies. Question number 38. The passage referred to the conversions of pollutants to fertilizers. What is pollutants and what is fertilizer in this context? Decomposed organic components of slurry is pollutants and microorganisms in soil constitute fertilizer. Discharged agricultural slurry is pollutants and decomposed slurry in soil is fertilizer. Sprayed slurry is pollutants and water courses is fertilizer. None of the above expressions is correct in the context. So 38 answer is B. Discharged agricultural slurry is pollutants and decomposed slurry is soil in fertilizer. So question number 39. According to the passage, what are the effects of indiscriminate use of fertilizer? Addition of pollutants to the soils and water, destructions of decomposers, microorganisms in soils, nutrient enrichments of water bodies, creations of algal blooms. So answer is B, 1, 3 and 4. Addition of pollutants to the soils and water, nutrient enrichments of water bodies, creations of algal blooms. Question number 40. What is the characteristics of a water body with cultural eutrophications, laws of ecosystem services, laws of flora and fauna, laws of minerals, nutrients? See the correct answer is in the codes given below. So 40 answer is B, 1 and 2. Laws of ecosystem services, laws of flora and honor. Next question. So what is the central theme of this passage? Appropriate legislation is essential to protect the environment. Modern agriculture is responsible for the destruction of environments. Improper waste disposal from agriculture can destroy the aquatic ecosystems. Use of the chemical fertilizer is undesirable in agriculture. So answer is C. Improper waste disposal from agriculture can destroy the aquatic ecosystems. Passage 2. The miseries of the world cannot be cured by physical help only. Until man's nature changes, his physical needs will always arise, and miseries will always be felt, and no amounts of physical help will remove them completely. The only solutions of the problem is to make mankind pure. Ignorance is the mother of evils, and of all the misery we see. Let men have lights. Let them be pure and spiritually strong and educated. Then alone will misery cease in the world. We may convert every house in the country into a charitable asylums. We may fill the land with hospitals, but human misery will continue until man character changes. According to the passage, which of the following statement is most likely to be true as the reasons for man's miseries? The poor economics and social conditions prevailing in society, the refusals on the part of man to change his characters, the absence of physical and material help from his society, ever increasing physical needs due to changing social structures. So 42 question of 42 answer is B. The refusals on the part of man to change his character. Question number 43. With reference to the passage, the following presumptions have been made. The author gives primary importance to physical and material help in eradicating human misery. Charitable homes, hospitals, etc. can remove human misery to a great extent. Which of the assumptions are valid? So answer is D. Neither 1 nor 2. Thank you, students. We close today here. Please, if you like my channel, please subscribe and share it to your friends, and also subscribe my Telegram channel to get more update. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.